Over the past several years, we've seen this incursion into women's sports led by biological men. Biological men who have competed their entire lives as men, who have built muscle as men, who have had all the advantages physically of being a man, randomly snap their fingers and decide, you know what? I'm going to identify as a woman and I'm going to go compete against these real women. And what happens in so many instances? Those biological men dominate biological women because that's how it works. That's why these categories are separate. That's why we've designed sports the way that we have. And finally, there's starting to be some pushback from people. Real women are standing up and saying, this is bullshit. The mainstream media who sat there and said, why aren't you watching women's sports? We need to support women's sports. We need to support women. All these things, they suddenly became silent when transgender individuals started dominating real women. But apparently there's finally been enough pushback in some instances for some leagues, for some organizations to make a change and say, you know what? No more men competing with women. British Cycling to ban transgender women from competing in the female category. And this is really a rule that's going to affect one person very significantly, and that's this person right here. Emily Bridges is what this person's name now is. They are a transgender cyclist. They are someone who competed as a man and then decided to snap their fingers and change their gender and all of a sudden compete against women and, of course, started dominating them. Well, this individual is not very happy about these changes and is basically calling it a genocide and making comparisons with Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida. Trans athlete calls Florida a fascist state that kidnaps children, says ban on men and women's cycling is a genocide. This person is having a meltdown. Not surprising. I can't imagine they're very mentally sound considering what they're doing with their life. Transgender athlete Emily Bridges has labeled Florida a fascist state that kidnaps children. A British cycling decision to ban biological males from competing in women's events has provoked the fury of Emily Bridges, a famous trans cyclist in the UK, who has now labeled the ban as being the start of a genocide. Imagine labeling that a genocide. The fact that you won't allow biological men to compete in sports with women is somehow a genocide. Guess what, Emily Bridges? You can still compete in cycling. You can still compete against men, against other men where you should be competing. So congratulations, your career is not over. I mean, it is for all intents and purposes because you're probably not going to win there, but we understand what we're talking about. Cycling is still one of the whitest, straightest sports out there, and you couldn't care less, Bridges complained. When the government is expressing admiration towards Ron DeSantis' fascist state, which kidnaps children, and it's issuing to pass legislation to ban us from public life, this is a violent act. Kidnaps children? What are you talking about? Are you talking about maybe preventing children from being forced transitioned, which is a despicable, evil act? Yeah, I don't think that would call that kidnapping. British Cycling are supporting this, and they're furthering a genocide against us. Bans from sports is how it starts. Look what's going on in America. It starts with sports bans, then youth and general health care, then bans from public life through bathroom bans. Bridges went on to say that he is considering leaving this terrible island, saying that current affairs are literally a fight for survival for me and my family at the moment. This person is a lunatic, an insane freak. But it's a good thing that British Cycling is actually standing up to this and taking a stand and saying, no, we're not going to let biological men come in and dominate women's sports. It's not fair. It's not right. You can still compete if you want. Go ahead and compete with the men like you should, like where you should be, but you're not competing against women anymore. It's always funny to see these freaks have a meltdown when they don't get their way. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.